So, hello, my name is Andrii Portnov. I'm a historian born in Ukraine, in Dnipro. I've graduated from Dnipro University in history and from Warsaw University in cultural studies. After that, I've defended my PhD dissertation in Lviv, in the Ukrainian Academy of Sciences. And since 2012, I am living and working in Germany. At first, it was teaching in several Berlin-based universities, including the Freie Universität of Berlin, the Humboldt University. And then since 2017, I'm a professor of entangled history of Ukraine at the European University Viadrina, Frankfurt Oder. Maybe I should briefly tell that this university is a very special one because on the one hand it has a pretty old and interesting historical tradition, but it was formed in its present day shape in 1991, so the same year when Ukraine became independent. Yeah? And this year we have a university, like two universities, Ukraine Statehood University anniversary and our Viadrina University's anniversary, okay? And this university is located on both sides of the Oder River, which means we have a campus both on the German and the Polish side of the border. And I think it's actually a perfect place to have Ukrainian studies because it stresses this idea of, bringing conscious traditions, historical experiences together, not just German, Polish, but also, broadly speaking, East and Central European. And we have a lot of Ukrainian students actually at our university as well. So before I tell you something about our activities, let me maybe very briefly mention what I'm doing myself as a historian, as a researcher. So right now, at the moment, I'm finishing my book. It's a very old project also. My book, The History of the City of Dnipro, my native city in Ukraine. But I'm also engaged in studies of intellectual history, memory studies, history of urban life, Jewish life in Eastern Europe, and all this research is somehow located, in the triangle, let's say, triangle of Ukraine, Poland, and Russia. Yeah. Okay. Talking about our chair, as I've just mentioned, our chair in Entangled History of Ukraine is the only one in Germany and in the entire Western Europe with History of Ukraine in its title. That's, of course, a big challenge and an important, let's say, obligation to all of us. When I'm saying us, I mean actually two people, because there are only two people who work there, me and my assistant, my research assistant, Bożena Kozakevich. So we are trying our best to introduce Ukrainian studies into the German curricula, German academia on the one hand, to include people who are doing Ukrainian studies from all around the world into our activities. And let me so briefly tell you what we've done so far. In 2019, we've had two very big events. The first one was a Viadrina Ukrainian Studies Conference. It took place in Frankfurt Oder, and we've had participants from not just Ukraine and Eastern European countries. We've had guests from Great Britain, United States, Canada, Japan, and other places where Ukrainian studies are present. And the same year, we've had a very successful summer academy held in Dnipro, in my native city. And here's a good occasion to mention our first strategic partner, if you wish. It's TKUMA, Ukrainian Institute for Holocaust Studies. So our international summer school took place in this TKUMA center. It's part of a interesting, diverse, incredibly fascinating Jewish history of Dnipro and Eastern Ukraine. And it was a big success again, having people from all around the world and also having keynotes from such famous scholars as Sergei Plokhy, who is now a professor at Harvard, but who is originally also from Dnipro. Yeah? So here you have also kind of interesting, correlation between like my career story and his Korean story, if you wish. Okay, and then recently, for instance, this year, we are having another summer academy, this time in Bulgaria, in Sofia, but again, it is done together with our Ukrainian colleagues and participants, so it's kind of on a regular basis project. We're also doing Ukrainian Studies Online Colloquium. It's a unique international event which could be viewed all around the world online on the YouTube. And also last year as well as this year, we'll have scholars from all disciplines from all around the world, also including Ukraine. Now, talking particularly about our context to Ukraine, I'd like to stress that it would be probably a mistake to consider that kind of, like I am representing here in German university, or I am representing like only, let's say, Ukrainian academia here in Germany. I think it's a bit more complicated because we do not divide like our partners or colleagues in terms which country are they coming from. But of course, Ukraine is our strategic partner, no doubt about it, because it's like related to the profile of the chair. So we have a strategic cooperation with the Ukrainian Catholic University in Lviv. We've had already a special session in Frankfurt Oder, and we are planning another one in Lviv to develop, again, this cooperation as much as possible, to have hopefully also a joint master program. Our another principal partner is Kyiv-Mohyla Academy. I should tell you that we've had already some guest scholars, as they are the scholars, Erasmus scholars from Kyiv-Mohyla Academy at our chair. Very recently, a couple of days ago, I've met the first president of Kyiv-Mohyla Academy in Kyiv, so we've also discussed all possible ways of promoting cooperation. So once again, I'm spending all the time trying to engage experienced scholars as well as very young scholars into our activities, and to build our chair and to present Viadrina as a real center for Ukrainian studies, not just in Germany, but if I may say like in Europe, broadly speaking. That is very, very important. And we're trying to use both, let's say, German funding opportunities and various international funding opportunities as well. What else could I tell you? Very recently, we've published a book together with the Center for Jewish Studies at the Kyiv-Mohyla Academy and Ducha Litera publishing houses. And we are planning more book publications next years. So they will be done partly in Ukrainian and published in Ukraine, and partly in English and German and done in Germany or, let's say, other parts of the European Union. And maybe last but not least, I think that it is very important to use this occasion to invite everyone potentially interested, of course, to participate in all our activities. As I mentioned, they're all open, they're never closed, they're always as transparent as possible. You could watch them on the YouTube, you could also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are the only chair in Germany with our own YouTube in different languages. Yeah, there are some videos in German, some in English, some in Ukrainian. And we'll be very happy to find new partners and new contacts, not just in Ukraine, but in all possible countries where people are interested in Ukrainian studies. And maybe the last thing to say that when I'm talking about Ukrainian studies, I'm not talking about, let's say, studying sensu stricto Ukraine, or let's say focusing on national history only, not at all. We treat Ukraine as a prism, if you wish, as a bridge, as a method, yeah, to look broadly at Eastern and Central Europe, to understand European, Polish, Jewish, Ottoman, Russian, Soviet history better. It's an essential part of this entire rethinking of historical and present-day situation in the region. And that is why Ukrainian studies are so crucial. It's not just about this big country in the center of Europe. It is about better understanding of fundamental processes taking part in our part of the world. Thank you so much.